For those who don't know, there's a very, very old game series on Roblox called Blackhawk Rescue Mission. I think from around 2011. I made a game based on that as a side project, and then sort of turned into a real project. In the beginning of BRM5's life, a lot of input was actually put in by moderators from BRM2, but then now it's more of a bit of its solo own project, despite still having the name.
Probably the first one was Operation Viper back in 2020. It was mostly just me and Nard. We were the main developers behind the game, and Nard was in his final year of high school, my year of college, so we were both pretty busy. And we were just struggling to keep up with updates. Like, I think at that time as well, I think Operation Viper, we had a lot of growth in BRM5 as well. We wanted to improve a lot of the aspects of the game, but we just needed a bigger team.
For those who haven't been around since Operation Shadow Raid, the game has been around for a long time, so it's not, early. It's definitely in its late stage of a game where most of the game mechanics should be very solid and there should be a very good and fun game loop. However, through the years, we have changed the direction of the game multiple times. We see both audiences shift on Roblox as a whole, especially in like more of an older age group, but then also a much bigger, younger age group sort of take over. So we've been in a deadlock of, should the game lean more into milsim? Should it lean more into arcadey? I'm sure there's many people here who have their own very solid opinions about where they think the game should go. I think most of the team now, we all pretty have a solid idea of where the game's going in the next few years.
We've certainly still got zombie mode planned, and that will be in development soon. Just the main basis of zombie modes is that it's inspired by open world survival games. Not sure how many of you guys know like Apocalypse Rising on Roblox. It's a pretty big zombie survival game back in the days. Might still be pretty big, but we've drew a lot of inspiration for that, for the zombie mode. And we also want the map, that's the whole open world feel, to be like the Division 2. Zombie mode, like in our vision, we want it to be this really nice open world map where players can, spawn in and start looting, and also like just create squads with different other people. So it's definitely a very big game mode, and it's not just like a side game mode. It'll definitely be like one of the main game modes in BRM5 once it comes out. Game mode will have a pretty like eerie atmosphere, so it's going to be like completely jump scares here and there, but you'll have a horror kind of atmosphere. Yeah. You'll definitely be spooked when playing it. And the zombies is like the most exciting thing about it, honestly. I feel like that's the thing I'm looking forward most to. The zombie horde, zombie behavior. We're gonna draw some inspiration from World War Z. We're gonna have like huge waves of zombies just rushing out at players. We're gonna make sure that players are gonna be outnumbered. But yeah, it'd be a pretty fun game mode.
From our surveys that we've done, and also just from like watching YouTube content, watching what people say in chat, definitely notice that a lot more people prefer milsim. However, I also don't think that most people know the true extent that milsim can go to. So we're definitely going to be working on making the game having some more realistic sort of movement and control with firearms, making it easier to use attachments, better gestures, better like proning mechanics. That's one of the things we're working on behind the scenes, including variable zooms, bipods, yep, all that stuff. And with that brings easier ways for us to balance guns with all these new sort of, things we can mess around with. So that's when we can, maybe look into something like adding LMGs, at least to open world. I said maybe. That's not a confirm. But for the most part, we're going more milsim. However, a lot of mechanics like healing and driving, we're not gonna add gear shifting or something like that. But in the parts that we see having extra detail, could be beneficial, yeah, we're gonna work for that. But then I still think the game benefits from having some simple mechanics in other areas.
I mean, if you don't want to add like gear shifting in the sense of like new mechanic, you can also just get like detail animation wise if it's not a real thing.
I dislike lots of clicking and lots of keybinds, but like showing detail through animation, sound, and all of that, that's obviously fine. That's something that I plan to add when I work on the renewing the movement for BRM and bring that more milsim aspect. So you'll be able to choose the stance that your gun's in, whether that's like a high ready, low ready, canted, anything like that. We'll be bringing ranked back for PvP soon, and in general giving 5v5 and 2v2 like a way nicer rework, because it's really crappy right now. Even though the matchmaking's not bad and the general gameplay's okay, it's definitely very outdated in terms of mapped, even features like being able to select a loadout before the round starts rather than having to die and select it. So like lots of minor tweaks, as I mentioned earlier, movement tweaks that we want to make, which will change the meta. You know, I don't think as many people will be flinging up into the sky and hitting shots, but overall, a more consistent gameplay loop for competitive play.
So for the next few major updates, we'll be kind of sticking to themed in terms of countries or regions, either European or Asians. But for 6.6, I can probably say what country we're doing, and then everybody can figure out the content themselves or wait until we add it, because there's a lot of it pretty much. That is going to be the French for 6.6, so I hope everybody likes that. We'll be trying to push out themed vehicles with guns, so it's fulfilling more roles than just adding random guns and random vehicles.
Questions in chat about boats, and I can confirm that, yeah, boats are definitely going to be coming in the future, and there will be a map centered around for boats. It's a pretty big component. Sure, and Vegeta will be having a lot of fun programming that. We don't want people just be using boats just to get from one place to the other. We actually want to integrate that with some action, being able to shoot from boats and being able to complete checkpoints.
Just a disclaimer. This is a decent time away. I don't expect anyone to be saying, is it next week? No, it's not.
So far away.
Saw some specific suggestions in terms of having a faction map in-game and stuff, but for the most part, factions exist outside of the game, as in on platforms like Discord or Roblox groups. We had some internal ideas with releasing content for popular factions, not for their members specifically, but for the countries that they represent, so they could better roleplay or do operations in that. But at the point in time right now, we're already quite swamped just doing content for the general people playing the game, so it's hard to fit in time to work on stuff like that. We want to try to actually do that over the next few months to sort of see if we can do it. But the thing is, we very commonly get into the loop of we can make a few pieces of content for an update, but it'll probably still take at least 2 weeks for like a new vehicle, for example. But that's a rough estimate. I don't want to throw MB under the bus. But then at that point, if we then wait like 1 more week, we might have another piece of content ready. So we feel like it's nicer to be able to release a nice big content patch at once, so there's a lot to explore and all of it makes sense together, rather than just have like a random vehicle or a random gun and it's not really belonging to any specific update. But we definitely want to try and stop having 1 to 2 month gaps between our updates.
We can't be certain what is going to get added. I'm constantly working on adding new content, so you can expect to see all types of vehicles, like helicopters, APCs, trucks, regular vehicles. In terms of guns, you can expect like shotguns, pistols, gear from Visk's department and whatnot. But for now, you just gotta wait and see what we add with different content patches, because it's too difficult being certain on what we're gonna add. Just everything will slowly be added in terms of content. Just gotta wait. Oh,
wow.
God.
Help
I
us.
guess when we get, I presume, I guess when we would just get bored of working on the game, but I'm loving working on the game. So
Yeah,
I
for the
mean-
foreseeable future, you'll be in development.
Yeah.
yeah,
There's no solid date where we're just going to be like, no more
It's
working
time.
on the game. As long as everyone is happy playing it, then it's going to keep getting updates.
This was like ages ago, back when I was making the map for Volgograd, and because we only had Volgograd as an open world map, we wanted to have as many biomes as we can, so we can kind of cater for all kinds of gameplay. And there is some deserts in Russia, and our Chara is based off one of them, but it's got more of a Middle Eastern vibe. But now that we're going in a different direction with maps, I think the theme currently is that we'll be making maps that's more accurate to the geographic location that we're basing the map off.
No. A few reasons, but I'll give you one personal reason and then one legal reason. First personal reason is Viper is not that good. Like, I'm not saying that as in I'm trying to get everyone to be like Resurgence is the best, but you know, Viper's got nostalgia, but it was really buggy. The AI were dumb and would do cartwheels. It was so bad. And then legally speaking, a lot of the content in that was not properly licensed. So releasing it now, you know, I don't think anyone's really gonna come and give us a DMCA or, you know, take us to court or anything of some, but I don't want to release something that I don't have full rights to. It stays on the hard drive.
I am planning to add quite a bit more music soon, just in game in general. I've been meaning to really get back into making music for BRM because it's a ton of fun. And then I also saw just a couple times people are asking what I use to create music with, and I use a program called Reaper. That's what I create my music with. I just have a blast making it, and it's fun having you guys enjoy the music.
For one, the first person sprinting, for example, is code-based. I have nothing to do with it. And third-person animations were made in the sense of like not really seeing yourself, but rather seeing other players. So like that's pretty much it. You can't do anything else than that. Be good. Sure, I could be animated, but like, I mean, animations will get an improvement in the coming months. So
This has been in the works for over a year and a half almost, due to some very unfortunate events. It was delayed, and we have finally gotten the opportunity to release it. I really hope nobody gives backlash for the political part of this, but I hope you just fucking enjoy the content, please. And thanks to Panzer for the insane sounds that you will see with the new mounted guns as well. This is the Russian Gaz Tiger, probably one of the most requested vehicles. It will include two new mounted guns, the PKP Pecheneg and the Cord M heavy machine gun. And that's the Ural 4320 infantry truck, as well as it will involve a armored variant, just like the current truck, but it would rather be a transport than a gun truck. So we'll fill another role for the vehicles.
There's a new 25 map coming up. Excited to announce that. Working hard. Me, Gravity, Florentine. Gravity, do you want to give a overview of the map, like what it's based on? And
Sure. This is SILAS Divide. It's based on some part of Wyoming. We have 3 objectives: a kind of old western mining town, kind of old airfield that will have a crashed, is that a C7 galaxy, and the main like suburb town, kind of like Heart Valley. In order to make the map quickly, we did reuse a lot of assets, but it's pretty different.
this map is almost like 2 times larger than Heart Valley, and we want it to be really like based on vehicles. We want players to be able to drive vehicles really fast through to each point.
You will also be able to fly on this map.
Yeah, not if anyone's ever driven a Jeep in Heart Valley, you just get blown up after 5 seconds. This would be a totally different gameplay style, so you actually have a chance to use vehicles to capture points without dying in the first 10 seconds. We've also like reorganized the objectives. So in Heart Valley, I think that there's an issue that everyone just rushes to point B because that's like the center of the map and the center of combat. And the points are rearranged differently. So we have like points A, B, and C from left to right, which means it'll be quite interesting to see how it plays out. We'll have it's quite literally like a balance scale.
Should be testing it pretty soon, so we'll see if that theory actually. By the way, our contractor Vero Woe made this plane and many other props for the game lately, and I don't know. I think he's killing it. So these buildings were made by our contractors, the Dream Dealer and Red VFX. They're for a pass on Runograd that we're going to do, both Runograd City and one or two smaller town locations will get added, or will like get a revamp as well.
These buildings are made. Also, just want to give a shout out to your contractors, Red VFX and the Dream Dealer. They've been pretty much working pretty hard, like over the last month, just making these buildings, and these are definitely like an upgrade over our existing Runograd City. They're more optimized as well. Like a lot of performance issues related to map like come from really large buildings like Runograd. So this will hopefully fix a lot of performance issues, and also like make it more fun. Like Runograd will be like a main place for combat. Great work, Gravity and contractors. Yeah, so I can't really say much about this picture, but it's definitely like you can. I'm not gonna reveal the location as well. It's a pretty cool location. If anyone can guess it, I'll be like, I don't know. I'll add in cat ears if anyone can guess it. It could be new open map. It could be new map. I don't know. It could be boats.
We have a long time till we're.
Yeah, it is quite far away though.
This is going to be part of a big-ish rework that I talked about when I was talking about movement. Also working on allowing the combination of uniforms, so shirts and pants. It's on the list, but it'll probably be more around later this year to early next year, so...
Yeah, there's a couple of gun stuff I want to get out of the way. Drop mags, that's been a long ago no. Everybody should probably check the Trello. But to all the people regarding the M4 rework and the Mark 27, aka the Glock rework, those will more likely be part of the character improvement and the slight rework due to the difficulty of adding reworked content, because as Snarp said quite a few times, it has to replace the current modals, and it's a pretty complex process that is very difficult. That is why we will be prioritizing new content instead, and I'll be delaying rework until later this year.
In terms of flags in general, it's currently quite bad behind the scenes how we implement them. It's very annoying. It's hard to explain without getting super technical, but we want to add more flag patches soon. But it's very low on the priority list right now. You know, I don't want to say too much in case I go back on my word, but the entire process of buying, owning, and customizing vehicles will be changed and built on drastically over the next few months. So, yes, but soon.
Yeah, totally. There are some like limitations with some of the current AI systems, but supposedly they're going to get some love at some point, and it is something I'm interested in doing.
For the minor rework and the gun expansion kind of thing, we are possibly looking at a gadget slot so that we could finally expand upon gadgets and give love to all the different players. So, you know, binoculars and all sorts of other useful items that can be used, like breaching possibly, all that kind of stuff as a gadget item.
I think the top priority right now is that we want to make the game as fun and non-repetitive as possible.
Content in general.
Yeah, more content, expanding gameplay, progression. We want to kind of give players, no matter if you're like, you know, if you're a new player or if you're like 5-star player, like as much stuff to do and much stuff to enjoy in the game. So yeah, this will come in the form of new content and new features. And you'll see that in a lot of our future updates.
It's sort of a complicated process, just in terms of creation. At the same time, it's also not. It's mainly just getting the ability to voice act and put it into the game. But the possibility of having voice lines for certain situations in the future is definitely something I'm looking into.
I don't think RGE is going to get any new features really anytime soon. I'll continue adding props to it, and there's a few things on the Trello that I'm also interested in making and adding to it. But other than like content and placeables and fixing those, there won't be anything new for a while until at least some of the work that Nar's been talking about is done.
As is tradition, I will probably do another AI rework sometime next year.
In the
But right
foreseeable
now,
future.
I'm pretty happy with how they are for the most part. They're a little scuffed, but they're still decently fun to play with. So
Can we just say no?
No.
wait, we're not.
Yeah.
Huh?
We already did.
People ask generally on tracked vehicles. I don't think we will be adding tracked vehicles. I'm gonna focus on non-tracked vehicles just because we don't have that feature and there's not much of a reason to add that feature. We just don't see tanks or IFVs being in our scope of the game.
We use a different type of asset URL for our uniforms and vests, and that lets us match them very easily in code. And this worked fine for about 3 years because it is a feature supported by Roblox. However, about a few months ago, for some reason, when you look up these URLs, it no longer actually returns the asset that it should be. So it would also require recoding a decent portion of the customization system, so we can move to the other type of URL that the rest of the game uses, and that's why other assets in the game don't immediately turn gray. TLDR, maybe we might be able to fix them manually soon if Roblox doesn't do something about it, but it's going to be a lot of pain on our behalf, which is why we haven't done it so far.
Then they fixed it for a while after it got pointed out, but it broke again soon after.
Yeah, they fixed it and then it broke again, so